Should I use NAM captures or AMP models? That's the big question these days. So I'm going to jump into Genome 2. I'm going to show you a NAM capture versus an AMP model and let you decide. So the first thing I want to do is head over to tone3000.com, search for a NAM capture of a JP2C amp and see if that's available. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is search for Mesa JP2C. Looks like we have a lot of matches in here. Let's sort by most downloads. That'll give us the most popular models that are in here. I want to make sure I'm using A2, format, neural amp modeler, and let's have a look. So the first one is a Mesa Boogie JP2C pack. This has a lot of captures in there. That's cool. Okay, and the second one, Paul Giacovino. Oh, this one's based on Leon Todd's settings, Ola Englund's settings, and then his own settings, by the looks of it. So I'm going to download this one and see how we go. So now I'm in Genome Suite. So if I want to load a NAM capture, I have to go into CODEX, so amplifier CODEX. Whoa, a bit of noise there. That's my computer. Okay, that's the gate on. Now I've copied all my files into this folder here, so they're all in this folder. So now when I open, I can search in here by JP2C. So let's just do that, JP2C. Right, now we can see they're all listed here. We've got Paul Giacovino Lead, we've got the JP Green, LT, that's the Leon Todd captures, LT yellow, red, and green. The Solar are Ola Englund, so we've got 1, 2, I thought there was 3 in here, and they're all captured as NAM A2, which is good. So, for instance, let's grab the lead, turn everything off. We need a cab, so I'm going to use the DynIR cab. I'm going to grab the Caliph standard, that's the Mesa cabinet. I want to mainly hear the 57. I don't like it being on access in this, so we'll move it to there. Turn the tone stack off. Change the input filter to bright. That's the lead. Oh, that's the lead one. So if we wanted to use this for lead, I'd probably chuck on a delay, dupe delay. I mean, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Straight off the bat, that is actually a decent capture. Let's try another one. JP Red Shred. So red is the channel 3 on the JP2C. Oh, there's a lot of gain on this. I've got a ton of noise at the moment, and I'm not sure if it's something I've done, there's something wrong with my setup, but it's way more than I had before. So please excuse that. If I was to put this down to neutral. These all sound pretty cool. I quite like the Paul Giacovino Lead. Not sure which I'll try for the rhythm. Maybe the Giacovino Rhythm as well. Bright. Playing that wrong, but oh well. I think that with a high cut and a low cut added in might help. Maybe it went a bit too low. Okay, so I'm going to use the Paul Giacovino Rhythm and Lead captures to create a rhythm and lead tone. And now I'm also going to go over and grab one of Two Notes' own amps, and I'm going to do the same thing with that. So what do I mean? I'm going to change the amplifier, keep the cab, but change the amplifier to the Flatback Mark V. That's the Mesa Boogie Mark V amp. John Petrucci's JP2C is based on a 2C Plus, but it's sort of got the same layout as this with the 3 channels. You can switch between these channels, 1, 2, 3. 1 is clean, the green channel. Okay, we're not going to use that channel. Then you've got the yellow channel, which is the crunch channel. You have the gain, master, presence, treble, mid, and bass here. You can change between diode and valve, presumably for the rectifier, and then you can also change between 6L6s and EL34s. If you want a bit more depth, then go with the 6L6. And then you have this switch here. It's on edge. I'm not sure what that setting is. I've never owned a Mesa amp, but it's very woofy sounding. So I'm going to switch that into the middle. You then have the EQ here, which you could do some boost and cuts if you wanted to. Like that. Maybe go with valve. And obviously you can add a reverb to that. Let's change the Dupe delay to a reverb. I like the studio reverb just because it's got so many settings that you can start with. You can start with these presets here. I like going with something like a basement. And then bringing that down. Don't need the width. And I'm going to bring the volume down here. So it's quite a subtle effect, but it just adds a little bit of something, adds a bit of dimension to it that I like, not so dry. Also, we can use mix fit as well. Turn that on. We can have, I don't know if we need the soft clip on. No, I'll leave the soft clip off, but we could add a bit of tightness. And we can play around with these focus and edge to change the mid sound. Without. And we can use the high cut and low cut to really make sure we're not using frequencies that we don't need. So I've set up a damage control rhythm preset. I've got a green meanie that's adding a little bit of drive, smashing the level up to 10 and reducing the tone a little bit. Then I've got the Mark V amp. I'm using channel 2, as I said, the yellow channel. That setting of that switch is in the middle. I've got the gain up quite high and the master rolled back to 3.95. presence is quite high. I've done a bit of a V with the EQ here, and I've got it on valve 6L6 and bold in these switches on the right. I've just put the input gate on hard for now because it's a little bit hissy. So I've got a dynamic 57, 20% off axis, and by axis, I've mentioned this before, but it means from the center of the cone away from the center of the cone, rather than angling it. I could be completely wrong, but I don't see how you can angle it and then it just shows it as a different position. So that, I think, is the axis, as in the x-axis. Then I've got a condenser 87 mic, and that's 25% away from the cab and 73% off axis. And then I've got the mix 50% to the mix to the dynamic 57, to the SM57. Now, if I was just to have the SM57, and just the condenser, and then if I was to put it dead center, like that. But I'm going to go with 50% mix over towards the SM57. Okay, without the green meanie, not quite enough gain for me with that, and it sounds better with a boost in front rather than trying to crank the gain on the amp. All right, and I've got the studio reverb, as I mentioned earlier, set up so that it's just very light touch. I do think I need that more. There we go. Save that. So it's a little bit of room reverb, basically. If I turn that off, just a bit dead. That brings that back to life again. Now, this is the NAM that I've set up using Paul Giacovino's rhythm sound. Obviously from the JP2C, not from the Mark V. I'm just going to turn this off and mix fit off for a second, just so you can hear how this sounds without. So it's with these cab settings, that sounds a little bit sort of blown out. Once I turn on my EQ and my enhancer, probably got a little bit too much of 120. And then in mix fit, so I've kept the same mic combination, the 57 and an 87, with a little bit of a tweak here. I'm not trying to set this up exactly the same. I could spend hours tweaking this to make it sound exactly the same as the other one. But what I'm trying to show you here is that just like out of the box, even if I don't have mix fit on and I don't have the EQ and the enhancer, you've still got like an instantly usable tone. And if you don't want to use the DynIR Cabs, just change that cabinet to IR loader. You can load your own IRs, or you can use the ones that come with Genome, which let's just, I've just picked a couple at random. And you can mix those. Which sounds pretty awesome. And of course, you could just use one as well. And this one is using two mics, as you can see, a 160 and a 421. That means it's using a Ribbon 160 and the MD421 dynamic mic as well. And it's the same on the other side. If you were to switch, boost the volume a bit, that's a 160 and a 121, so two Ribbon mics. And then this boogie's got a 57 and 421, so two dynamic mics. But if you like tweaking like I do, you can set that up in here anyway, and you can actually split this so that you can say, I want two DynIR Cabs, which means you could use between 2 and 4 mics. You could have a mic on a British Vintage, so a Vintage 30 here with a dynamic 57 and an R121. So if I go into this one and I just mute both for now, we're just listening to this cab. And then if I mute that, I can change this cab. Let's use this 4x12. It's inspired from a VHT Deliverance 4x12 cab. That will have, it's got eminent speakers, but it doesn't say which ones. That's fine. Let's do it with the same combo, 57 and a 121. So I'm not putting any effort really into tweaking the mics here. I just want to show you what happens. Then if we turn these mics back on, we've now got the blend of the Brit Vint C and the Free Rock together. And then if we want to go 100% on both of those, so we only have 57s, it sounds pretty awful. Let's go 70%. And just to show you, if we were to go 100% over to mic B, we just have the ribbons on both of these sounding. Oh, it's peaking. I mean, you could spend all day tweaking. I'm not going to because I've already set these up as I want them. So now I'm going over to my lead preset. This is now using the red channel on the Flatback Mark V. I've got the gain up at 8.5, master at 4.5, presence up at 6, and I've rolled back the bass. Rid's rolled back a little bit and treble's pretty much center. And then I've got this kind of curve again going on with the EQ here. I've switched from pentode to triode, and I'm still using 6L6s. I'll show you why in a second. I've got the green meanie, just pushing the amp a little bit more, adding a little bit more sustain. I've got my DynIR Cabs set up here with a 57 and a MD421. Studio reverb, and the Dupe delay. That sounds like this. If I was to play on my neck pickup. Wish I could play that without mistakes. So, what was I saying about this? The pentode versus triode. Here is the pentode sound. Triode. Now I hear that as pentode being a bit more scooped. And I wanted that little push in the mids. Even though I'm scooping it here, I just like the sound that you get when you switch to triodes, so I'm going to keep that. I've got studio reverb on and the Dupe delay on. I can turn those off. With the studio reverb on. And then the delay. So it's based on the Carbon Copy Bucket Brigade delay, so it's quite a nice, warm, analog sounding delay. I like that a lot. And then in Mix Fit, I can turn Mix Fit off. With it turned off, the way I got it set up, it doesn't quite have enough character for me, so I've boosted a few things, including the output. So I was trying to get the rig output to sort of hit around 6 on this meter here. I've pushed the edge a little bit and sparkle, dropped air. I've got a high cut of 9.6 kilohertz and a low cut of 120 hertz, and then I've just dropped the character a little bit to add a little bit of a round off of the top end. If I just turn that off. Okay, so that's the lead sound that I've set up using Two Notes TSM-AI amplifier. And then I will go to my NAM capture. Now this also uses a DynIR cab. I've got 57 and a 421, like on the other preset. Also got the studio reverb and the Dupe delay. I've got Mix Fit turned on with similar sort of settings a little bit. I don't have the high cut and low cut turned on here though, because I do that in CODEX using the graphic EQ. It's got a low and high cut here, 9.9 and 123, and then some various EQ settings here. This is how this one sounds. And on the neck pickup. Let's listen to the original track, just a couple of bars here, just to see how the lead sounds in this. It does have quite a similar character to it when I use the NAM. Going back to my settings that I've got in here, let's try that again. I actually prefer this one. I think it's a little bit sort of smoother sounding, but you can change that very easily just by playing around with the EQ, playing around with the cab. One of the things I noticed actually, if I just go back to my damage control rhythm track, I was playing around with using a mic on the back of the cab, because when you listen to the start of, I think it's damage control, what I kind of hear there is, if I go over to 100% on mic B, the back of the cab, I hear that kind of sound. I'm not sure if that's what's been done on the record. If I bring this mic into the cap edge a bit. And I could bring the distance all the way in. And then if you mix that with the 57, I kind of hear that as the rhythm track, but I have to say I prefer, in general, having the condenser sort of set up on the front. You can also do that with a NAM capture. Just switch the DynIR cab to back and have a listen to how that sounds. Then you mix the 57 back in. I could be completely wrong. That's just what I heard. That's the sort of thing you can do in Genome if you just want to have a mess around and play with it and see how it sounds. And you can just switch it back to front if you don't want to. You could even put this so that both mics are on the same position. So there you go, that's NAM captures versus amp models. And it comes down to really a decision of, do you want convenience, or are you happy spending some time tweaking an amp model to get the tones that you really want? There's way more flexibility in amp models. I find it a lot more intuitive, but I can see where NAM captures are going, and I can see that this is going to become something that's really big. Now, amp models offer ultimate flexibility. It's just like having the real amp. But NAM captures offer such convenience that I can see a lot of people using them in the future, just because day to day, if you're in a band, you usually have one setting on your amp, maybe two, and throughout a whole gig, if you're playing your own material, you probably don't change that much. You just want to add different flavors in using probably stomp boxes. You might want to add some effects, but you can do all of that with NAM captures. So if you have a bass tone, maybe a lead tone, and a clean tone, that's only 3 captures that you need, and you're done. And you can add overdrives in front of that to change the character of those as well. It's an interesting time, and I can see NAM-only hardware devices being quite popular. It also means that the companies don't have to spend any time modeling amps, because that's done for you by the community. What I think might happen is we move towards this multi-parametric amp capture technology that Two Notes have done with CODEX in Genome 2.0. And that means you can just use the amp like a normal amp model. I'm interested to see what happens in this space, but it looks like NAM is here to stay, and it's getting better and better. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you a NAM person, or do you prefer modeling? Also, if you do enjoy this video, please like and subscribe or hype the video, and that will really help me out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.